Hello and welcome to this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show. I'm your host, Kristin Innes. Super excited to have this beautiful woman all the way from the States, Kristin Sullivan, coming and joining us. Thank you and welcome, lovely.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
We've chatted a couple of times beforehand and I love what you do and sort of like how the natural progression. I can't even talk properly this morning. Like, it's just terrible. So I do apologize. So normally a lot more polished with this, but I want to dive in a little bit about your story and sort of like how it all sort of started, and talk about how it came to be, because I think that it's such a great story, especially now with with all the COVID stuff that sort of happened as well, and it's sort of really going to inspire people of how we can actually change and adapt and adopt and I guess go with the flow. I think a lot of people need to learn what to do with going with the flow and not getting so, I guess, the anxiety and sort of, built up with it all as well.
It's so true. Who knew, we would be sitting here today. I think maybe even the first time we chatted, we weren't in this situation. So it's been absolutely crazy. I mean, I started 25 years ago in the travel industry, and I feel like I've been pivoting ever since. So right when I started my little boutique travel agency, the internet hit with all of these online booking tools. And so in the travel world, we were paid commissions by airlines, and that went away. So I thought, well, now what am I going to do? So I went into doing corporate planning and group planning and found myself landed right in the lap of destination weddings, which I absolutely just loved, and for 2 decades have done them. And so working from a point of, constantly working on someone else's clock, someone else's time, and traveling nonstop and never being home, I knew that I needed to be in a home-based situation and be in charge of my own world. And so I took a hiatus about 2 years ago to write a book about all of my wedding memoirs, and was going to really take a step back, do my own meditation, my own yoga, my own wellness and mindset planning. And I realized that I had found a missing link, the disconnect with all of my brides. And what was happening was they're so busy in their own lives because they're in corporate world, corporate America, working probably 12 hours a day, trying to be in a relationship, trying to stay healthy, trying to exercise and eat right, and weddings get thrown in their laps. And they don't have time. They just don't have time to do it. So they look to me, and what I did with the Bridal retreat is I'm now just not wedding planning, but I am bringing them a 3-day experience to get them in the right mindset to deal with their full-time job, their full-time relationship, and their full-time life, which is what I did. I escaped that big corporate world and found all those tools to balance. And that's what the retreat is about. And I'm so fortunate. Tonight I actually wanted to sit in my little mobile office and work with you, but it's raining here and it would drive you crazy. So I'm in my downstairs office in my house. It's not as bright and cheery, but it's still home.
Look, I think that's like one of the beauties of it is that, any challenge that we sort of go through, we have 2 pathways. We can literally sit there and I call it, have your little pity party for yourself and, sort of go down that sort of victim mode, or we literally can actually learn from it and actually be able to transcend that into something a little bit more positive and learn from it. And that's what really inspires me with what you've done, is that you've sort of looked at everything and gone, okay, well, I didn't want to work for somebody else, didn't want to go back into sort of corporate America, but let's learn from all the different experiences and what you've gone through personally, and then be able to put that into practice and actually be able to create a business from it. And I think that so many people can really relate to that, especially with what's going on right now, that, using mindset, using, creativity, using, your life experience to be able to build a life for yourself and build it based on your own terms. And I think that's super powerful as well.
It's so true. And even in the last, you know, couple of months with everything happening, there's been another pivot with my retreats were in-person retreats or built that way. And now I'm pivoting to bring a virtual retreat. So I think it's, you know, it's great that you and I, we are in completely different parts of the world. And I feel like I'm sitting in the room next to you, which is so nice. But that's what's going to happen now is that I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of 2020. So there's going to be a virtual option. So we just, as women, I think we pivot and transition so much easier and faster because we're used to just juggling nonstop life. And it has been a little bit of a challenge for me to get to this next step. But again, I'm so fortunate that I was already home-based, set up, and where so many other people were just not prepared for what was coming. Being able to be yourself and not in the corporate world, we kind of were ahead of the game.
Yeah. Do you find that obviously making the transition out of corporate America and, you know, having, you know, sort of being on that sort of, I call it like a bit of a rat race, you know, like you're constantly going, it's like the hamster in the wheel, going. But then when you've stepped out and you've used the mindset, do you find that with any challenge now that's coming into it, that because you've already got that fundamentals of mindset, that has actually made it a little bit easier or been able to sort of give you that foundations to be able to make decisions or to sort of pivot, you know, change directions quicker and easier?
I do. I think to my planning background, you know, as planners, we always have a plan B and we always have a plan C, D, and E, right? So I'm fortunate that I'm very gifted in that I'm always thinking about what could happen, what could go wrong, because that's what clients look to me for. And I think that this situation has put us ahead of the game in that space, that we're equipped, we're set up. You know, some people didn't have the ability to set up a home office. You know, they have it in their living room or their bedroom. You know, we're used to that. We have it already built in our homes or our mobile offices.
Yeah. Well, I work from the lounge room at the moment. So it's sort of like, if I turned the screen, you would see like the basketball court and like all this sort of stuff. But you make do with what you have. And I think so much one of the biggest things is that when you step out of, you know, the corporate sort of world, being in flow, going with what happens. You know, my partner's dog jumped up before in the last interview. It's just like, this is life. And, you know, it's okay to have those moments and to go with the flow. Because I was so uptight in the corporate world. Like I'm a recovering perfectionist. So, you know, like I want everything done. But when you start to work for yourself and you really start to, I guess, embrace everything, it's okay to go with it. And if something goes wrong, that's okay. Like you said, we have plan B, we have plan C, we have plan D to go with it.
Yes, I totally agree. And like you said, you never know what's going to happen now. And I think it is nice that people are a little more accustomed to babies screaming or dogs barking, or who knows what's going to happen on Zoom anymore, right? People forget to put all their attire on. I heard that hasn't happened to me, but
Yeah.
I think it's really going to push women to go and do their own thing, right? Like now they know they can work from home, and what's stopping them to do it for themselves. And that, I think, is a wonderful thing that has come out of all of this in particular is you can work from home, you can do it from anywhere. And if you have a passion for something, use it. That's, you know, I love what I do. I'm so lucky that I wasn't forced into any situation. I just made a really good decision. And I did because I could not do 9 to 5 in a cubicle.
Yeah. And I think it's that passion part, like the passion really just then drives everything even more. Because I found what I love, like I am more going, okay, want to improve. I want to do more. I want to keep going and keep going. And it allows you to be more creative. It allows you to expand everything even further. Because you do love what you do. Like it's no more of dreading Mondays and going, oh my God, you know, I have to get up and go to work. It's like, oh my God, I can't wait. Like I will literally find myself working on the weekends because I'm so passionate of what I do.
I totally agree. And I think if you love your space, it's important too to set up a good working space. Like
Mm.
I have everything I love. Eat, drink, and be merry is one of my favorite lyrics from a song. But I look at that every day and I'm like, okay, I'm in a good space and it's my space. You're comfortable. You can be in your pajamas if you need to be, but you can still work and still get things done. And if you need to pop out and do the laundry, or you need to accept a FedEx package, it's just all right here. And in a world of, I heard someone say the other day, the air has changed in LA so much because of no traffic. We're also doing something good by staying home where,
Yeah.
the environment.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I feel that we're never going to go back to a normal, like anything is normal anymore. And the best thing about that is that we've really started to connect more with ourselves. We've started to connect with family and friends. And even though we may not have been in the same room, and it's the same with clients, like you and I, you're on the other side of the world, yet we're completely connected. And I feel that this has been such a growing force, and it helps us, in life, but also in business, be more connected with people.
Yes. And I think too that your clients see you in a much more comfortable situation too, because you're in an environment that you're comfortable in. So whereas, on a Friday night, you might be stuck in traffic driving home. Now you actually maybe have a conversation with family over a dinner at a reasonable time because you're actually already home based.
Yeah.
And, and even if you're not home based, let's just, there are people that leave the corporate world and they still have to travel and they still have to do things, but I think they're making those decisions for themselves and making their level of comfortability with what they choose versus someone telling them what they have to do.
Oh, I love that so much. Like it really is more that you're back in the driver's seat so much more, and making those decisions based on for you more so than what it is from others.
Yes, totally agree. And I just think follow your passion. I mean, do what you love to do, and it's never going to feel like a job.
No, no. I literally have like pinch me moments. I'm like going, I get paid for this. Like, this is incredible. Like, why did I not do this 20 years ago? Like, why did I wait till in my 40s to actually do this? And then, but obviously there's learning lessons that I've had to go through.
Right.
But I think once you do it and you really step into it, did you find, obviously going into business for yourself, did you find that it's that first step is like the hardest, and then you just keep going and, putting one step in front of the other and going for it? But making the decision, was that difficult?
It was a little hard. It was scary, not knowing, achieving that comfortability level of constant paycheck, constant benefits, all of the things that you're so used to. But I also think there's that big trade-off of, there's so many trade-offs. You just have to, you've got to like jump off the diving board and just trust the process.
Yeah.
And it might be comfortable for a year or two, but I also think it makes you work harder because you don't want to go back. So most of it, you're like, okay, I've given this up. And it's not going to be for that long, because you're going to take off. And as long as you're doing what you love to do and you stay disciplined, you're going to have those things back, and they're also going to be back in your control.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
scary. I'm not to say it's not.
No. And I don't like sugarcoating things, because, people, say to me, oh, okay, well, now things are starting to get traction. You're like, I know it's an overnight success. And I just want to let people know that, no, it's not. It has been a process. And when you go into business for yourself, there's also not just the business stuff that you need to learn, but there's so much more about yourself that you need to learn too, because, in corporate, you're surrounded by a team, you're surrounded by other people. And when it's just you, it brings out a lot of things. There's a lot of insecurities that still come out in me. There's a lot of self-doubt, and there's a constant progression that you need to also learn as well.
Yes, and you're wearing every hat. So you're HR, you're reception, you are accounts payable, accounts receivable, everything. hours. And you will find yourself, you know, working 60, 70 hours, but let's be honest, we were working 60 or 70 hours for someone else. And we really probably weren't that happy. So now you're doing it for yourself. And it's just, I think time blocking is the biggest thing for me, to know that, you know, okay, I'm going to spend X amount of time on HR, X amount of time on accounts payable. You just have to really be disciplined, because there's no one to complain to but you.
Exactly. I really love that. And I think, you've hit on so many really key things about it. Is like, you found your passion, and, sometimes it's not, a clear road. Sometimes we have to go through, a little twists and turns to really find it. But when you do it, it brings something else out in you. You light up, like you light up when you talk about what you do, and people go into that energy, they really receive it, and they get it. But also too, what you said before is the fact that when you're following your passion, like, you are back in that driver's seat. And I think that is so key for people listening. If you take anything away from today, is that when you follow your passion, you're back in that driver's seat.
It's true. And I think one other note that I think is important, I know in a lot of the groups that I'm in the women's groups, they have failed to have a supporting partner a lot of times to take that big leap, or they're afraid that, or to present that to their partner. And I personally went through that. I lost a relationship because I wanted to pursue a career, and it's a really hard decision. And I know now it's the right decision, but there's so many people that's a big factor. And so you really, like you said earlier, you've got to learn about yourself first, and that you should be with someone that's supporting your dreams. And if you're with the right person, they are going to support your dreams. And again, it's not going to be easy to get through that step, but I just want to tell women out there too, it doesn't have to be like one or the other. You've got to do what's best for you.
So one of the things that I think, finding your tribe is super important as well, because the fact is that when you have that tribe around you and you can talk to people about it, people really do understand that. So it is really, really crucial with that. And I mean, I love my family so much, but sometimes they don't get what I do. And when I go and then talk to other, girlfriends that are entrepreneurs, they instantly can connect with me, and they, and if I'm having a bad day, they understand why. Or if I've got something that I really want to celebrate, they understand. So find your tribe, like, just other people, go to, find networking groups or something like that, that they're really going to connect with you.
Absolutely. And there's so many support groups now. That is the nice thing about social media, I have to say. I don't love everything about it, but the support groups, and I know we've connected through social media, that's the good part of it. And there's several women's groups that are all business women, and there's no drama. It's not like a girl's kind of, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like a clique, so to speak. It's business. You can go in there, you can ask real business questions like, what software is this solution going to provide? Or, what are you doing about this particular business situation or this client? And you get real answers. It's like having all of your departments if you need them. So you can ask an HR question, you can ask things. So even though you have all the same hats, you do still have a level of support when you find your tribe.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've absolutely loved having you on the show. Thank you so much. Would you say that there would be, if somebody was wanting to take the leap in starting a business for themselves, would there be one piece of advice that you would give them?
Absolutely. I would say save up for a year in your current position, prepare yourself and really do a budget and really do a business plan. And run it by some key people, just even if it's other like-minded business people, or you find a tribe on Facebook, you definitely want to make sure that you're doing what you love. Don't try to get into something you probably have never done. If you just started scrapbooking 6 months ago. Don't quit your day job to really just go scrapbooking. But if you love that, you'll figure out a way to do that. But there's a certain path to follow.
Yeah.
And I would just say, budget and have a business plan and just really believe in yourself.
Yeah, I love all of that. I'm going to put all the links so that everyone will be able to get in contact with you. I'm excited too because you're coming into our launch issue of the magazine. So we will be able to put the links so people will be able to read your article. Thank you so much, Lovely, for coming and joining us today on this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show.
Thank you so much. And congratulations. I'm so excited for you on this.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you a part of it and to really share, your passion and, your story about how, in crazy times that we can actually find our passion and really live it to the fullest.
So true. And if anyone needs to reach out, I'm always a good soundboard too.
Yeah.
Feel free to.
Yeah, no, I love it. So thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for joining this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show. I'm going to put all our links below. Reach out, connect with us, subscribe, and follow your passion and live life to the fullest every day. So love and light to you all.